George Groves is with us, obviously, in the studio. A thought on him from you. Would you like to see him fight James DeGale?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a big rivalry, and I think we've gone back with what George did with Cal Frock. We brought it back. We brought like the Nigel Ben Chris Eubank era a little bit back. You know, there's nothing better than having domestic rivalries like George and Cal, and like George and James. You know, James DeGale. So yeah, it's a big fight that can come off. I think not just because George is there listening. I think he's been a credit to himself. Now, you know, it was a heavy knockout that he suffered, and he comes straight back in and he's European champion in immediate of his next fight. That's what boxing's all about for me. I mean, that's what I prided myself in my heart, and it seems like George is made of the same stuff. Full credit to him, and I think you know, a fight against James DeGale would be massive. I think it'd be big interest, big crowd, and let's hope it comes off.
Ricky, wonderful to speak to you as always. Thank you very much indeed.
As always, great to speak to you.
Excellent. OK, we'll have much more from George Groves. Pose that question to him, obviously, and we'll get your view, George, on Carl Froch's future in the ring as well. That's on the way. OK, George Groves still with us here on The Morning View. Now the dust has settled on your head-to-head with Ricky Hatton, just your thoughts about last night? You're pleased that Chelsea have gone through?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Always going to be a tough game against Liverpool, second leg, cup game. It had that European atmosphere. It was it's an intense rivalry now, you know, Chelsea-Liverpool. Glad Chelsea got the win, and not without its controversy, but a good game. OK, we heard Ricky Hatton as well saying it'd be great if you could fight DeGale. What's your thoughts on that now? Your response? Yeah, I mean, the thing with the DeGale fight is it's always there. You know, it feels like it's never off the table. So, you know, timing's key. Sure, I'd love to fight James any day of the week. I'm sure he feels the same. It might be the next fight, but for me right now, I'm mandatory challenger, #1 contender for the WBC. We've put in a lot of work and a lot of effort to get close to that fight. So there's no way I'm prepared to walk away from it. It would be possibly a trip to the States, possibly we can get the champion over to London. Either or, it'd be a huge fight, and as I say, win that, and then the James DeGale fight's still there, so that's the plan. So that's Anthony Durrell. How close are we to it then, and how tricky opponent could he be? Well, at the moment, he seems to want to buy himself a little bit of time. His management keep applying for extensions to his voluntary. As far as we're concerned now, he's missed his chance. The whole reason I boxed in November instead of later on was to box before his voluntary, and as I say, he's missed out. It was supposed to take place last year, so now we're insisting that he has to fight me next. It's a great fight for him. It's a big fight. I'm not sure why he wouldn't want to take it. So maybe there's other aspects involved that we're unaware of at the moment, but we're pushing hard. We're doing everything our side, and we're sure to have some good news for us in the very near future. Excellent. We'll look forward to that. What I'm looking forward to as well. Stay with us, George, because I want to ask you, obviously, about Carl Froch, the future, what it's like to be a top-notch boxer as well. So stay with us. That's it on. But right now, George Groves is still with us in the studio. Thanks for staying with us, okay, George. Right, let's talk about Carl Froch then. He's pulled out of a fight with Julio Chavez Jr., elbow injury. Eddie Hearn says we might have seen the last of him in the ring. What do you make of that? Yeah, I suppose if anyone's going to know, it would be Eddie. Them two are very close. He's pulled out of an elbow injury. I mean, there was talk of it obviously fighting Chavez. That was a very difficult deal in the first place for them to put together. Chavez with some legal issues. So now Carl's pulled out injured with an elbow problem. That fight doesn't look likely anytime soon. Carl, of course, has the IBF belt, and James DeGale is still mandatory for that belt. So there's sort of that fight's going to be quiet. No one's really mentioning it at the moment. So it's an interesting situation. There's probably not much to take from it apart from Carl's injured. So whether he boxes again, who knows?
You're very restrained when you talk about Carl Froch. I feel things bubbling underneath you. Is there still unfinished business as far as you're concerned there? Have you put that one to bed?
Well, you know, my plan, of course, is to win a world title, to challenge for the WBC belt. Once I've completed that task, that goal, then if Carl's still around, if he wants to fight, then of course, I'd love to fight him. So, for now, obviously there's plenty more I need to be getting on with. Carl's looking to fight in the States. He's handpicked Chavez, and at the moment that fight ain't taking place because he's injured his elbow. So, I'm not sure whether Carl will box again. If he does and the time is right, of course I'd love to fight him. But say for me, in the meantime, just got to crack on and win that WBC belt.
When you look back, especially Wembley, obviously huge disappointment for you as far as the result is concerned. Any regrets, though, about anything that you could have done more?
Well, who knows? Maybe there was something I could have done different. At the time, we felt we were in perfect shape. Still feel that now. Ifs and buts and maybes. At the end of the day, I felt I was comfortably in control about winning the fight. Maybe not the fight that people expected, but we was going exactly how we planned. We was, in full control, and Carl caught me with a shot. By his own account, it's the best shot of his career, and that was the end of that night. Of course, I'm a fighter. I want to fight. I want to prove myself. I want to fight anyone, and it's obviously disappointing that the two fights we had are now summed up and people say put to bed on the back of one punch. But I suppose that's the nature of boxing. It can be seen as that. But if we do box again, of course, supremely confident, I know I'll beat him.
Of course. When you came out on the bus and Wembley erupted, what was that like? What was going through your mind? And when that punch hit you, what was going through your mind? Remember, it's a family programme, no swearing.
Yeah, I mean, ring walking at Wembley Stadium is something that's, it's once in a lifetime, I'm sure. I'd love to do it again one day, and so I probably have the possibility of doing it one day. But it's strange because you want to be able to absorb it and take it all in, but at the same time, you're about to have a fight in 15 minutes, so you don't want to waste too much energy or lose focus absorbing, the atmosphere of the crowd.
What was the overwhelming emotion? Was it fear? Was it excitement? Was it adrenaline? What was going on?
That's the thing, because you're not trying to absorb it. There's no overwhelming emotional feeling. It's sort of, you're just clear, tunnel vision in the zone. You're preparing for a fight. So I'm not the sort of fighter who has to get angry to have a fight. I don't need to get emotional. I don't need to get upset. I don't need to get excited. I am what I am, but of course I was excited that night. I was enjoying myself, but at the same time, I wasn't able to absorb it fully, I think.
And when that punch landed?
Well, when that punch landed, I didn't really think much at all, because I didn't realise I was on the deck for a couple of seconds. I felt it was, of course, most people, flash knockdown. The thought is to get back to your feet and carry on fighting. And then I had to ask my corner, should it have been stopped? How long was I down for? Because, you've blacked out at that point. So that was obviously a first for me. I've been dropped a couple of times in my career, but never been finished with a knockdown. So, of course, very disappointing. You want to remain realistic at that point. You don't want to say too much because you don't really know what's going on. Watch it back since, of course, the fight should have been stopped. But at the same time, of course, you're like, oh, made that mistake there. Opened my shoulder, allowed him to come in with a combination that he throws all night long. So that split-second mistake, undone a year of good work. So that's frustrating, but you ain't gonna let it break you. So you get back in the gym, straight back to action, and that's why I've had 2 fights since and 2 wins since, and mandatory now for WBC.
Just move away from that now. We talked about James DeGale a little last hour and whether he can get it on with you, and Froch as well, moving away from that fight. What do you make of his future? Where does he go?
James is a fascinating situation. I mean, in theory, he's done the right thing. He walked away from the situation I'm in. He was mandatory for WBC, and he wanted to fight on our undercard and become mandatory for the IBF, hoping that he'd get the winner of me and Froch. So I'm sure he would have promised that in the meantime. That's why he took that fight, and since then became mandatory, and Froch just decided that he's not worthy of his time. In fact, probably the frustrating thing for DeGale is that Froch said the same thing to me before our second fight. You're not worthy of my time, but I was able to force the situation and make the fight happen. DeGale's unfortunately not been able to do that, and now his team are probably looking just for a big fight, and they probably look at me as being that guy who can deliver a big fight for him. If for whatever reason he can't fight Froch and he keeps his mandatory, he'll be fighting Andre Durrell, and I'm fighting Anthony Durrell, the brother. I think that makes for a fantastic night of boxing. I think you know, it's glamorous, it sells. It'll be a winner-takes-all sort of semi-final in the super middleweight division. I think DeGale has a good chance. He's in a tough fight, but you know, he has a good chance. If with the backing of maybe Eddie Hearn, he can probably get home advantage in that. Same time, I go out and beat the brother, then it sets up for a super fight down the line, something that will certainly eclipse what I delivered last year at Wembley. But there's an awful lot of planning that's involved in boxing, and sometimes things don't come out quite the way you think. I'm not sure what DeGale's mind frame is right now. He probably just wants a big fight. Probably just wants to fight like the rest of us, and at the moment he's in that limbo stage where he's mandatory for a world title, and frustrating thing for him is that he shares the same promoter as the guy he's supposed to be fighting, except at the moment Eddie obviously isn't really pulling too many strings for him, and he needs to apply some pressure, I think. Apply some pressure. If he wants to give me a call and ask me how to do that, I'll happily explain it to him. So.